Hello there, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the Thames Valley. An NHS consultant who says he was sacked in Hampshire for being a whistleblower says he'll take the hospital trust to a tribunal. He speaks publicly for the first time.
My concerns were about midwifery staffing levels, deteriorating midwifery morale, the loss of some of what I felt were our most experienced and most valued midwives.
A school trip ruined and missing luggage. Thousands caught up in travel chaos at Heathrow ahead of the holidays.
Also tonight, what have Bill Gates, Leonardo DiCaprio and the Kardashians got in common? Andrew Pate goes to Basingstoke to find out.
Well, doesn't she look pitiful?
And a drive down memory lane for a care home resident from Hampshire, reunited with Clara, one of the loves of his life. Good evening. A consultant who was sacked by the Royal Hampshire County Hospital in Winchester says he feels persecuted and will take the trust to an employment tribunal.
Martin Pittman has been an obstetrician and gynaecologist in the NHS for over 20 years. He claims he was dismissed for being a whistleblower, but the Hampshire Hospital's NHS Trust says it actively encourages staff to speak up.
Well, more than 1,000 patients, colleagues and friends have joined a group calling for him to be reinstated. Derek Johnson reports.
A long-time consultant at the Royal Hampshire in Winchester, Martin Pittman now believes his career has come to an end. Back in 2019, he raised a number of issues on behalf of staff.
My concerns were about midwifery staffing levels, deteriorating midwifery morale, the loss of some of what I felt were our most experienced and most valued midwives, high absenteeism rate of midwives through sickness, and the fact that on a daily basis we were being expected to cover our clinical service with far fewer midwives than were recommended to provide a safe level of care.
Although Mr Pittman says he went through the proper channels, he was dismissed last March and after that lost an appeal, saying he was told it was because there was an irretrievable breakdown in his relationship with senior management. He thinks it was because he blew the whistle. The Trust hasn't spoken about your case specifically, but it has said in a statement, and I quote, "No member of staff has ever been dismissed as a result of whistleblowing or raising concerns around patient safety." That would appear to imply that you were sacked for another reason.
My own opinion on that is that claim is disingenuous and frankly untrue.
Employers can dismiss members of staff for breaking rules, regulations, breaching contracts, breaching confidences. Did any of that happen?
Categorically not. I was doing what I thought was the appropriate thing to do and never for 1 minute dreamt that it would end up in threatening and terminating my career.
Mr Pittman has the backing of the British Medical Association, and more than 1,000 people have signed up to a Facebook group supporting him. Former patients include the actress Sarah Parish.
He's saved many lives and many lives of many children. And is just one of those people that you have the utmost respect for. He's brilliant at his job.
How has all this made you feel?
It's been a devastating end to a really traumatic and difficult 4-year period. Having worked so very hard in the city where I was born, was educated, grew up and undertook part of my training, was the proudest day of my professional career. It has taken me to the darkest places that I could ever imagine.
And you feel the end of your career?
I'm certain this represents the end of my career now, yes.
Mr Pittman says he's taking the Trust to an employment tribunal. The Trust says it actively encourages staff to speak up when they have concerns. Derek Johnson, ITV News.
The inquest into the death of an officer cadet at Sandhurst has concluded that there were missed opportunities to prevent her suicide. Olivia Perks was found hanged at the Military Academy in Berkshire in February 2019.
Well, at Reading Coroner's Court earlier, the coroner concluded that possible measures could have been put in place to potentially help prevent Olivia's death. Mark McQuillan reports.
The coroner's conclusions here in Reading laid clear failings at the Army's door over the suicide of Olivia Perks. The 21-year-old cadet was described as bubbly and positive. but she was insecure and vulnerable. And when those vulnerabilities came to light, the coroner concluded the Army Welfare Team's staffing levels were inadequate and there was a failure of training. The inquest heard how Olivia was in a relationship with someone else at Sandhurst, which wasn't allowed, and she was worried about what would happen had that information come out. While on the course at Sandhurst, Olivia had been drinking at a barbecue and afterwards said she wanted to die and asked for a knife. It happened in front of colleagues, and the medical view was that Olivia was at low risk of repeating that behaviour. 7 months later, in February 2019, she hanged herself, and today her family said her death was avoidable.
For the memory of Olivia, we truly hope that the lessons learned from her death and the implementation of the recommendations from the service inquiry will foster change, both in the culture of the British Army and across the wider armed forces, to promote a safe and positive environment for all trainees.
The inquest heard that shortly before Olivia's death, she was suffering from a crisis of confidence over academic aspects of her course at Sandhurst. And following an evening of drinking, she didn't turn up for a parade the following morning. The coroner said there were missed opportunities by the Army's welfare team and that it's possible measures could have been put in place to potentially prevent her death.
Much more should and could have been done to support her. As an organisation, we should have been better. This has been an extremely difficult inquest for all, in particular Olivia's family and friends. Olivia was a young woman full of sparkling promise, with so much to give in life, and we cannot begin to understand the unimaginable loss Olivia's family have endured.
There are 61 recommendations for improvement, and the Army say measures have already been taken and they have much improved supervisory care in place. Olivia's family say they hope lessons are learned and that the recommendations result in positive change.
Mark McQuillan reporting from Reading there. And if you have been affected by details in that report, remember you can find support and advice by going to our website, itv.com/Meridian.
Now, school children on a trip to Italy are among thousands of passengers caught up in disruption at Heathrow. Some holidaymakers spent last night sleeping on the floor of the terminal.
An IT problem at British Airways has been causing disruption for a second day, with more than 150 short-haul flights affected. From Heathrow, Charlotte Brea-Edney sent this.
It's been another day of chaos here at Heathrow as British Airways cancelled a further 83 flights. That's on top of the 90 or so that were grounded yesterday. It's because of an IT problem at the airline today. The British Airways website simply said, "We're aware of a technical issue which we're working hard to fix." Not good enough, say many of the 20,000 passengers who've been affected. Take a look at the scenes inside Terminal 5 today, just as so many families head off on their half-term holidays. Earlier, we spoke to Kevin Hall, whose son had been excited to leave on a football trip to Italy with his school. Well, yesterday, after hours of waiting at the airport, teachers were told the flight was cancelled, and with hotels booked up, the 40 Year 8 children had no choice but to sleep on the airport floor.
My son has been looking so forward to this trip because it's been the first time he's been away on his own, and with it being football, because he sleeps and breathes football. And it's just turned into a nightmare. And all he keeps saying every time he contacts us is he just wants to come home.
Well, I can tell you that those children have now made it to Italy, but their nightmare isn't over because only a handful of their bags have made it there with them. Well, British Airways yesterday tweeted to say that their systems were back up and running and that there would be only intermittent issues. That tweet has since been deleted. And of course, it's not the first time British Airways has been hit by IT trouble. Back in December, thousands were stranded and Christmas plans were disrupted after software problems. And then in March last year, a similar issue caused more chaos. It will be something the airline, which is of course based here at Heathrow, will want to get sorted before the summer holidays.
Just a nightmare for people trying to get away. Charlotte Breer-Edney reporting there from Heathrow. Now, you're watching ITV News Meridian in the Thames Valley. Still to come. Reunited with his beloved Clara, 86-year-old Lloyd is taken for a spin in the vintage car he once owned and restored.
Sunshine, sunshine, sunshine all day long.
And the Barbershop singers hitting the right note ahead of their annual conference taking place here in the south.
Well, for more from us, of course, you can go to our website. Details on the screen. itv.com/Meridian is the address. 0808 1010 095 is our phone number. And, of course, you can follow us on social media. Now, the biggest cruise ship ever to sail into Portsmouth has been in harbour today.
The almost 300-metre-long German vessel, Mein Schiff 3, arrived at dawn with 2,000 tourists on board, and many have been visiting the city's sights today. Here's James Dunham.
Portsmouth's never seen a ship this size. At 293 metres long, the Mein Schiff 3's 6:30 arrival from Liverpool this morning gave the port and crew much to celebrate.
We want to see you back here.
With the captain receiving a plaque to recognise this significant sailing.
Nowadays it's quite rare that you still find new ports in Europe, let's say. That's of course special also for me, and I think it's the first time that I come to a port where you can say I'm the biggest ship in port. Yes.
You're a record breaker.
A record breaker. Sounds good.
The vessel is 9 metres longer than the Royal Navy's aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth and 3 times the size of the Elizabeth Tower if you tipped it on its side. With its own theatre, 15 bars and a 25-metre outdoor pool, the German ship has a capacity for 2,500 passengers. But where are they? Despite all of the facilities on board, most of the passengers are actually out and about because Germans by nature like to go and explore local attractions, and a cruise sailing like this can generate as much as £1.5 million for the South's economy. For those who hadn't set off early for Stonehenge or London, buses to local sites transported excited tourists.
I'm proud to be here, I'm proud to be on the ship, and it's a very beautiful journey.
What are you looking forward to seeing here?
I'm just trying to explore as much of Portsmouth as I can.
The castle, the park, the tower, I think that's enough. And I want to sit in a pub again.
They'll spend money at places like Gunwharf Quays and Spinnaker Tower and so on, historic dockyard. And on top of that, when they're in, they take in stores, they have little bits of maintenance, and there's all tradesmen, there's people from within the Solent region that are working on board the ship whilst it's here.
Her 12.5-hour berthing is a blockbuster signing for this port in what will be its busiest year, with 75 cruise calls expected by the end of 2023, as Portsmouth looks to strengthen its image as an international terminal.
Well, let's cross to James now. James, I see they didn't let you stay on board, which is probably just as well. It's due to set sail in the next hour. Where's it going to go, and what do bigger vessels really mean for Portsmouth?
But its final call, Matt, is Germany back home. The name Mein Schiff actually translates into my ship, and the port has certainly been embracing its special visitor today as a huge opportunity, a statement to the sector to say, look at our capacity and look at our capabilities. There is a new cruise terminal opening here later this summer, and the port anticipates its passenger numbers to grow from 175,000 this year to 250,000 within the next 5 years.
OK, James, if you make a swim for it, you might catch him up. But for now, thank you very much.
Is it bad that I've just got back and I want to go on a holiday again?
Do you really?
Yeah.
It's been hours.
I've got bills to pay, though. You're OK. The ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. Here's Gamal Famboulay.
Coming up, a mother and father have been jailed for life for the murder of their 10-month-old son. After his death in 2020, Finley Bowden was found to have more than 100 injuries, including broken bones, bruises and burns. The UK's biggest mortgage lender raises its rates again amid stubborn inflation, and there are fears others may follow suit. And by this time tomorrow, Luton Town could be back in the top flight of English football after a 30-year absence. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, we're going to stay on the sporting theme and talk to Andrew about sport, but it's boxing to start with, Andrew, yes? All the eyes on Bournemouth this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? A world title fight in Dorset. Local lad Chris Billam-Smith has won British, Commonwealth and European titles, but he wants the world. The cruiserweight, known as the Gentleman, has been on Bournemouth Pier ahead of the fight against WBO champ Lawrence Okoli. The pair used to be sparring partners and friends, but Billam-Smith says nothing can stand in his way, having landed this fight at the Vitality Stadium, the home of his beloved AFC Bournemouth.
This is the dream, always has been. There's not going to be a bigger fight in my career than this. You know, winning a world title, first world title at the Vitality Stadium, it doesn't get bigger than that. Because once you've achieved that, everything else is a bonus or an add-on. But the leap in getting to this is definitely the biggest, and it's a dream come true for me. So yeah, it means absolutely everything to me.
Bournemouth are playing away from home when the Premier League comes to an end on Sunday, as are Brighton, who can't wait for next season. The Albion players have been celebrating qualifying for the Europa Cup for their first time in their history, and their highest ever finish of 6th place. Well, for the next 2 days, their nearest train station at Falmer has been transformed, with signs saying, next stop, Europe. Brighton finished this campaign at 7th place Aston Villa. Bournemouth are at Everton, while Southampton end their Premier League stint at home to Liverpool. On to one of the world's fastest growing sports, which is played by 5 million people in America, including Bill Gates, Hollywood actor Leonardo DiCaprio, and even some of the Kardashians. Now, pickleball is growing in popularity here. So I joined the totally pickled players in Basingstoke to find out more. Using paddles and wiffle balls, this group in Basingstoke is one of 270 pickleball venues in the UK. A mixture of tennis, table tennis and badminton, the sport was invented in the United States in the 1960s, with around 1 million Americans taking it up during the pandemic.
I'm an ex-badminton player, and as much as I love badminton, I'm not fit enough for it at the moment, so pickleball's become a really great way of doing it, and it's a really small community, and everyone's just so friendly. That's the best thing about pickleball, really. It's just such a really friendly group.
This group meet at Total Tennis in Basingstoke, hence their name, Totally Pickled. And although it's only been going a few months, they're already planning a Premier League of pickleball. Well, some of the players have even been to the US to try to pick up some tips.
In America it is intimidating, it's a good way of putting it. With some of the guys are well over 6 feet and you think, how can I get past them? But you learn, and you learn different ways and different angles, and then come back here and try it, but it's always quite so easy.
Well, it would have been rude not to give it a go. What a point. And being such a friendly group, they made it easy to pick up pickleball. That was my first ever go at pickleball, as was blatantly obvious. How do you think I did?
I think you did marvellous. I really do. You were getting it straight back, no problem. You were hitting it quite hard, which was good. You were getting it in the right place. First attempt, amazing.
Thank you. I think we can all agree Jill is the best. And I certainly can see why pickleball is rapidly growing in popularity. Does anyone have a phone number for the Kardashians? I quite fancy another game at the weekend.
I like that you didn't tell us which Kardashians.
All of them.
Oh, really?
I love the fact that, yes, I can win and I'm wearing a suit.
Always.
Yes, Andrew, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, a care home resident near Ringwood has been reunited with a vintage car which he had lovingly restored and owned for more than 40 years.
Yes, 86-year-old Lloyd Thomas sold the car 10 years ago but never stopped talking about it to his carers. So it was tracked down to Kent and the current owners were delighted to take Lloyd out for a spin. Richard Slee reports.
Look what's there.
An unexpected visitor for Lloyd Thomas.
Well, well, well. Doesn't she look pitiful?
This is a special day for everyone at Lloyd's care home.
Oh, that's wonderful.
As he's reunited with the car he reluctantly had to sell 10 years ago. And he's missed Clara very much.
Well, I think it's wonderful. Twice over. One, that I'm seeing it again. And two, these lovely people have allowed me to see it again.
This visit is all thanks to activities coordinator Bibesh, who says all Lloyd used to talk about was his old car, so he made the effort to track it down.
I tried searching it with the registration number, but I couldn't find it for a few weeks. And then one time there was an ad for the Goodwood Festival. So at that time, I got an idea, okay, maybe I should search from clubs.
And Avril is a member of the Morris Owners Club and travelled 150 miles from Kent.
I'm really pleased. It's lovely. He's a super gentleman, and it's going to be really lovely to hear some of his stories and, things he's done with her.
And there's much more than that.
That's what men do in their sheds.
To Avril's delight, Lloyd documented every stage of his 9-year restoration. A full body-off rebuild, all done in his garage at home. And this photo includes Lloyd's late wife and mother enjoying the car after its restoration, a project that was much needed, if only for Lloyd's safety.
I mean, it was a wreck when I bought it. Shouldn't have driven it, really.
Then the highlight of the visit, a chance for Lloyd to have a ride in his Clara, which is now called Muriel. The weather lovely enough to have the top down.
I didn't spend a lot of time in this seat, but it's beautiful.
After a few spins around the block, it was time for home.
There they are.
And another treasured motoring memory for Lloyd. Richard Slee, ITV News, in St Leonard's near Ringwood.
What a wonderful story.
Yeah, it's really heartwarming.
Yeah.
But stay with us because we have a real musical treat for you this evening, coming very soon. But before that, let's get a check on your bank holiday weekend weather forecast with the details. Chris Page.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello there. Very good evening to you. A lot of dry, fine and sunny weather through much of today, and in the sunshine it's felt fine, and that story is set to continue as we move through the bank holiday weekend too, where we've got the sunshine feeling warm, but just remember that UV levels are in the high to very high category. So the high pressure stays with us as we go through the weekend. That's the reason it's staying fairly settled. A little cold front slips southwards as we head towards Sunday, just ushering in a touch more cloud, but we stay fairly dry. But that cold front will also bring something just a smidge cooler as we move towards Sunday and into bank holiday Monday. But for the rest of this evening and overnight, it's clear skies overhead. That means with lighter winds, some pockets of mist and fog here and there, but generally temperatures in the range to 6 to 10 degrees Celsius overnight tonight. A little chilly in the countryside as we start on Saturday morning, but with the clear skies overhead, a lot of sunshine getting to work and our temperatures rising quite nicely as well. The highest temperatures likely across the northern and western parts, but still 21 to 22 degrees Celsius, 72 in Fahrenheit. But don't forget that those UV levels are now very high. And if you're heading to the coast as we go through much of tomorrow, looking at high tide there at 5:11 at Poole first thing tomorrow morning and at 3 minutes past 7 tomorrow evening. As we leave Saturday and go into Sunday, here comes that area of high pressure drifting in from the west. Notice the cold front sinks southwards and just ushers in a little more cloud during Sunday. Also bringing something just a smidge cooler during Sunday afternoon as well. So it means temperatures will have to work a little harder. Again, the sunshine getting to work as we move into bank holiday Monday. But a lot of dry, fine and sunny weather to be enjoyed. And that story continues as we move in to next week. The pollen is next.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
And as for the bank holiday weekend, the pollen forecast remains at moderate. We're currently at the start of the grass pollen season, which affects the majority of hay fever sufferers. That's it from me. Have a lovely weekend.
Well, finally, the sun is out and many of us are about to enjoy the third bank holiday of the month, so we thought we would take you into the weekend in style with some music.
Yes, the British Association of Barbershop Singers are in Bournemouth for their annual conference, where thousands of singers are going to be battling it out to find the best of the barbershop bunch. And we can talk to Lawrence Hassan now. Lawrence, you're actually the chair of the British Barbershop Association, and can I say, with all due respect, you are not what I was expecting. Where is your straw boater?
Thank you. Yes. I am the chair of the British Association of Barbershop Singers, and I know exactly what you mean. That classic barbershop stripy blazer and boater look. Well, things are a little bit more modern nowadays. Barbershop's been going for coming up over 80 years now, and we've moved things forward quite a bit, as you can see.
And Lawrence, a massive weekend ahead for you all down there.
Yeah, big weekend ahead. We've got 2,000 people coming to the Bournemouth International Centre for our annual convention. It's our 49th convention. We're heading into our 50th year next year, so it promises to be an amazing weekend.
And let's not underestimate this, because 6 lucky choir groups get to go to America in July. What's that for?
That's for the International BHS Barbershop Competition, which is taking place in Louisville in July this year. That's the absolute World Championships of barbershop singing.
And just quickly, a big year ahead for you as well.
Yep, heading into our 50th year, started in 1974 as an organisation. Now there's 2,000 of us, 5,000 barbershop singers across the UK. So next year's convention promises to be the biggest and best we've had so far.
OK, Lawrence, for now, thank you very much. I know the guys behind you are going to get ready to sing us out very shortly, so it just remains for us to say goodbye and to wish you all a fantastic weekend.
And hopefully they are ready now, because singing us out rather fittingly with Bring Me Sunshine, one of the best barbershop groups in the country, and they're called Trailblazers. Bye-bye.
Bring me sunshine, oh sunshine in your smile, in your smile. Give me all the laughter you got every day. Bring it all the while. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above.